close. Yeah. Good morning. It is a joy to be here in Unity Overland Park this morning. I'm so glad to be here. Yeah. Whoa. I needed to be here this morning. All right, here we go. Well, the sun shines through my window on an autumn afternoon. Leaves falling down as the wind blows, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. I'm ready to start over. My heart can't take no more. I see myself, but don't know her. Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. I'm on a spiral mountain, moving to the place where I can see the truth of me. Gotta hold my breath and take that leap so I can be free. I can be free on a midnight highway, headed to the sunrise, riding with my head high. I'm taking it slow because I know I'm ready to let go. Ready to let go. Look into tomorrow, but staying in the day. Surrendering my sorrow, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, oh, letting go, letting go. I'm on a spiral mountain, moving to the place where I can see the truth of me. Gotta hold my breath and take that leap so I can be free. I can be free on a midnight highway, headed to the sunrise, riding with my head high. I'm taking it slow because I know I'm ready to go. Yes, I'm on a spiral mountain, moving to the place where I can see the truth of me. I gotta hold my breath and take that leap so I can be free. On a midnight highway, headed to the sunrise, riding with my head high. I'm gonna take it slow because I know I'm taking it slow. Because I know I'm taking it slow. Because I know I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to let go. Ready to let go. Ready, ready, ready. I am ready to let go. To let go. To let go. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to let go. I am ready to let go. Ready to let go. Ready to let go. Ready to let go.
Yes. Well, Kelly done sung. Let's all sing. Dancing the breath of God.
Here we go. The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God. I know that all is well. The breath of God is breathing
Good morning, Unity Church of Overland Park. Those of you in the room, those of you who are in the balcony seats online, Facebook, YouTube, or in the UCOP app, we bring you into this circle, into this morning and this sacred time together. I'm Reverend Jackie Fernandez, and it is my great joy to serve as your senior minister.
And I'm Reverend Eileen Stulack. Similar joy to serve as your Associate Minister of Operations here. It's good to always be with you.
And we are welcoming Dr. Patrick Hanley as our guest today. He'll have a sacred conversation with me in just a little bit. So let's center this. Oh, wait. Oh, man.
What?
There's so much going on in the world today, all the states.
All the states?
I mean, Florida, Texas,
well,
Missouri.
Yeah, everywhere. You're right.
But have you heard about what's going on in Hawaii? Nobody pays attention to Hawaii. It's all the way over there. But have you heard?
I have not heard.
They have outlawed LOLing. There is no laughing out loud in Hawaii.
Why?
You have to keep it to aloha. And we're in. Yes. We might need to pray now.
That was good.
I had you going though, didn't I? You're like, what? What's happening in Hawaii? Zing.
All right.
So with all the joy of our hearts, we settle into this morning. This is the day that God as us has made, and we rejoice. We are glad in it. We are grateful for this day, for this day holds all possibility, because we are alive, and we are the makers of this day in co-creation with that one holy presence in the universe. So we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for this love, this life, and this community who has written in its heart to be a beacon of light in the world, the presence of love. So as we feel the honor of being that presence, as we feel the sense of holy ground that we are on, holy because we are here, gathered on it, wherever you are, you have created a holy presence in the world as God expressing through you. So we unite in heart and mind, and we speak one of the foundational affirmations in unity. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, the source of all good.
And we continue now in our time of prayer, a time that we bring into our hearts and into this sacred space all those who have asked for prayer of this ministry. And the energy of the song that we sang prior to the opening here is still resonating in my heart. And so I invite us all to just see ourselves and also those specifically who have sent their prayer requests to us as the work of heart that they are, the masterpiece that they are. And we see the breath of God moving through each and every one of them gently, so gently. We see the grace of God enfolding them in all their heart's desires, as if a warm hug or a gentle blanket was around their shoulders. And we see the core of all that is, and that is love. Love moving throughout every cell of their bodies, every thought in their minds, bringing forth all that they wish to experience and bring into their realities, whether it's accelerating the joy that they're experiencing or softening the challenges that are before them. They breathe. They feel the warmth of God, the love of God, guiding their every step. And for that, and for so much more, we are grateful. And so it is we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Eileen, Reverend Jackie. We are blessed always. So let's sing.
Blessed always, blessed always, Lord, the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, Amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say,
Yes, thank you. And it's Tony and Tiffany. I know you.
TNT. There we go.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name's Tony Piazza, and this is Tiffany Crabtree, and we have a few announcements for you this morning. First, the next meeting of our men's breakfast group will be coming this Saturday, August 5th. Everyone will meet for breakfast at 8:30 a.m. at the Lenexa Public Market, and then move across the street to the library at 9 for a continued conversation. And next Sunday, our Yarn Blessings group will meet here at the Plex Pod at 2 p.m. just outside the sanctuary in the cafe room. And everyone is invited to join. And if you can't be here in person, you can request a Zoom option on the online registration form. And be sure to check out the group's craft table near the door. All items are available there on a love offering basis.
Okay, we have a really great announcement, a wonderful new workshop that is coming up on Sunday, August 20th, right here in the sanctuary after that morning's Sunday celebration service. Reverend Jackie is offering an interactive workshop titled, What is the Bible and Is It True? Participants will be invited to explore and share what their personal relationship is or isn't with the Bible. There will be discussion of assumptions and assertions about the sacred text, Unity's approach to it, and also time to ask questions with no right answers. Everybody is welcome to this experience. Diversity and experience will make the discussion rich and much more memorable. There is a sign-up sheet on the table in the back of the room, and you can also register online using the link provided in the e-news.
And the next training for our prayer chaplain team will be held here at the Plex Pod on Saturday, August 26th from 9 to 2. We will have an informational meeting for anyone interested in joining that team or to find out more about the program before making that decision. The meeting will be held next Sunday, August 6th at 11:30 a.m. in the Idea Lab, which is the room adjacent to this space through the door on your left. Whoops, left.
It's over there.
Right, my left. Somebody's left. Okay.
This isn't part of the script, so I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off script a little bit, but I am a prayer chaplain, and as a prayer chaplain, I really want to just extend a personal invitation to anybody that's part of this community, whether you're online or come into the sanctuary every Sunday. One of the foundations of unity is prayer consciousness, and so many people in this community are blessed by their prayer chaplains and by the prayer energy and support that's part of the unity movement. And if you've been thinking, maybe I do want to be a prayer chaplain, but you don't know about that, especially if your big concern is you don't know if you have the time to commit to yet one more thing in your life, I just want to personally say, come to that informational meeting. The prayer chaplain group is amazing, and it's you get so much love and support by being a prayer chaplain, and the gifts are just infinite. And so I really just want to tell you, if that's on your heart, please listen, because we need you, and you might need it as well. Okay, sorry, I had to go off script for just a second and say that. So could everybody please join me in speaking the joint vision statement of the Unity Movement? A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
One of my favorite things about being here at UCOP are all of you, the people, and these wonderful musicians here. It's a lot of fun for me, so I want to personally thank them right now for making this a joy for me this morning. Thank you. You felt broken and all alone. Your failures cut you to the bone. But listen, listen to me. You think you have nothing to give. The well is empty, no reason to live. But you have everything, everything you need. It is all given to you. Now who will you give it to? Pass it on, pay it forward, and let it rain. Let it rain. Though someone betrayed you, drained you dry, open your arms, trust the sky, and be everything you were meant to be. Then step outside, reach out your hand for the water on this parched, dry land, and give everything, everything until you are free. Oh, it was all given to you. Now who will you on. Pay it forward, let it rain. Oh, let it rain, rain, rain.
Invite Dr. Patrick Handley up. To join us for week 4
Good morning.
of our series With a Brave Heart. You may remember 2 weeks ago we had Dr. Melanie Dean here, and she's back at the back table there because she is Patrick's wife. Or I should say,
I'm her husband.
Patrick is her husband.
Yeah, there you go.
This is Mr. Melanie Dean, right?
That's it exactly.
But after that talk, after that service, Patrick approached me and he was like, I've been working on some stuff that I think might be a really good fit for this series. And we had a conversation. I was like, this is a really good fit for this series. Can you come back in 2 weeks? And he said, well, yes, I can. So
Yeah,
here
thank
you are. And I've got your book, which is
Okay.
available on the table back there
Yeah.
in sight.
And what a coincidence this morning, by the way. Thank you for your attendance here. I was thinking I need a theme song for this book, and Kelly just sang it.
Yeah.
And I am going to divert from my whole planned presentation to read a little poem that's in the beginning of this book. So I'm a psychologist, true. I'm also an interfaith minister, and I brought my prayer shawl. I was going to talk about that, but I'm going to drop that. But the beauty of it was, the course, it was the ministry was founded by a Buddhist monk and Catholic priest, Protestant minister, and a Jewish rabbi. And their goal in that ministerial program, just like Jackie went through the Unity program, I went through the Interfaith program, was to see the best in all religions and drop the judgment. My book, as a psychologist, parallels that. It's all about how to see the best in yourself and bring out the best in others. Same thing, isn't it? Isn't that what we do every Sunday when we get to a service and like Jackie presents here, is we try to get in that zone of owning the best in ourselves and holding it, retaining it, maintaining it, and then bringing out the best in others. And Kelly's song was just like perfect, Let It Rain. It's like, isn't that? Sometimes if we're not our best self, at least we can bring out the best in someone else. And wasn't that a perfect match?
Yes, yes.
I was going to call this week and suggest some songs, but that was even better. So synchronicity.
Reverend
it worked.
Fred, and they have it taken care of.
They do.
So thank you for that, and Kelly.
Before we get into this, I'm going to read a little poem that's in the very front of the book that is really kind of guides me. It was written 140 years ago in England by a person that also wrote a lot of books about seafaring and going to the sea and going down to the sea. But he also wrote this: the three of you go down the road as down the road go you. The one you know, the one they see, and the one you want to be. The one you want to be. That's the zone that Jackie gets you into, and you had a great service. That Kelly's song, you got me in the zone just hearing that a minute ago. In my presentation and our conversation back and forth we're going to have is what triggers you, what hot buttons throw you out of that zone. You get there, you're right where you want to be, and then it slips and you fall out.
It's an important conversation, because it's much easier when we gather together to be in this zone, and we create it week after week. We're with people we trust, people we love, people who love us, and then we step outside, we get into traffic, we go home, maybe we meet with family for a gathering of a meal or a visit or something, and
That'll
then
do it. That'll do it.
the hot button issues, as you call it, or triggers, right? They start happening, and then it's so easy to forget everything that happened while we were here that we felt so certain about and so awakened to. And the other piece of that started unfolding for me or illuminating for me is that we've been talking about getting out of the comfort zone. And really, it's an expansion of our comfort zone, right? So you have your zone of comfort, you get out of it, but then you gain comfort. So your comfort zone gets bigger, and rinse, repeat, right? So you're always expanding the comfort zone. But we all know, no one in this room, but we all know someone somewhere whose comfort zone is actually being uncomfortable, being triggered, being in their maybe chaotic hot button issue all the time, and maybe is always seems to be looking for an opportunity to be upset, right?
Or to
Is
get
it
you
just me?
upset, to trigger your trigger.
And maybe it is you.
Anybody got
Okay.
children?
And that's okay, but that's why we're going to talk about it. That's why we're going to illuminate that, because
Perfect.
all of our spiritual practices mean nothing if we can't actually practice them, right? It means nothing if we can't actually be in a practice of finding, of being our best self, being the one we want to be, like your poem so beautifully said.
Letting it rain, as Kelly
Letting it
said.
rain, yeah.
And that's exactly what my world is when I work with organizations, team building and leadership, and when they get into that zone, it's a little different zone, but I think of it as a spiritual zone, because a good leader is bringing out the best in others. They're not focusing on their power or their, but then they get triggered and hot buttons. So let's have a little fun looking at this. I've got some slides that show how I got particularly interested in this, and they relate to something that happened right on our property. Let's do the first event. So I live on a little acreage, and there's lots of wild turkeys around. And they're out there just minding their business, doing their thing, being completely relaxed. They're in their zone. And the next slide. And then the mating season comes along, and they get all full of themselves and puffy and proud of how good they look and how nice their feathers are, and they're getting in a competitive zone. So then the next slide. Next thing you know, they're in a fight. They've triggered each other. There's something that's happened, and it's no longer peaceful in the prairie. And so you've probably all seen this. So one day my son, I'm sitting in my office working away. So he comes in, and this isn't him, but it's a picture that looks so much like him that I thought I'd use it. And yeah, just go back, just hold that for a second. So he comes in, thank you, and I'm working away, and he's, Daddy, the wild turkeys are chasing me. As I say, I'm busy, so I'm thinking, I'll just give him some instruction. Just run out there and go back out there and puff yourself up and wave your arms at him. So he goes out there and he does that, I think, or something like that. And he comes back in even more terrified and breaks into my office and says, no, there's a big one and he's chasing me. And I thought, okay, I will go out there. And I did with him, and I saw it from a long distance, and it ran off. And I thought, well, no big deal. No, what's the deal? Why is he? And so then I got to thinking, and I'll show the next slide, if you would, the turkey. Go back to Shay, turkey, Shay. So what triggers a wild turkey in mating season? They're not really thinking. They have built into their instinctive brain that when I see a red stripe, go back to Shay again, that I do what? I fight, particularly if it's flapping its wings. So I feel bad. I gave him all those bad instructions, and he was what? Triggering the turkey. But if we think about ourselves, sometimes we act like a turkey. Somebody says something that triggers us. We're not even thinking anymore. We were in our zone. We were peaceful. We just left a wonderful church service, heard a wonderful song, and that trigger throws us completely out of it. And we weren't even really in control of it because it goes back to something we learned in the past, something instinctive. And some triggers are good, some are bad. I don't do this anymore. I did it at one time, and it was such a chaotic mess. I thought I'd help the audience see what a trigger that's kind of universal was. And a lot of people are scared of mice and rodents and that type of thing. And I was presenting along, and I looked down, and I said, oh my gosh, there's a mouse running across right there. And I mean, the screaming, the jumping, there was not a rational mind left in the room. And Melanie, she would have been on top of the table. And that's how fast it works. That's how fast it works. So if you were sensitive as a child to being left out, perhaps you get triggered by someone walking by and not even saying good morning while they're busy thinking, I'm going to go over there and give me a cup of coffee. And they walk right by you, didn't look at you, but that triggered your, oh my gosh, they don't like me, or they're upset about something, or some silly little thing, and we're out of our zone. One time I presented, or many times I present, and a lot of times when I'm in an organization, I'll ask them what their triggers are, and they'll say, no, I think I pretty much got it down. I've been taking care of my triggers. I've kind of worked through that. And I don't do it anymore. I have them make a list early in the seminar, maybe 1 or 2 items. Then after we got through the seminars, there'd be like 100 items. So a lot of times we don't even recognize those at first. So the first step in the whole process is simply to become aware of it. And that's what so many of our spiritual services are about. If we can just become aware of it. Kelly's song, gosh, if I can just bring out the best. Where'd she go? There she is. How'd that lyric go? Bring out the best in others, see the best in me. The first song was the heartfelt. Yeah. Yeah, well, the rain I love because pass it on, yeah, and see the best. So what Jackie and I were going to go back and forth about a little about here is saying, okay, what triggers does she spot sometimes? A person's in their spiritual zone, they've just had a wonderful meditation. What triggers us to fall out of that? Is it something from the past? Is it something from the present? Is it just the current state of our energy? See, those turkeys get into mating season, and they're triggered by anything red. Yeah, and it just goes like that. And they're not even thinking. Has anybody got one? We can even do some exchange. Do you have one, Jackie?
Nobody has one, right?
Nobody has
No,
one. That's the
I-
beginning of the seminar, always.
Does anyone want to share
Yeah.
something like a trigger
Just-
that you've been working with, that you're aware of, that you have an awareness of, and you're willing to share here? And it's okay if the answer is no, because we want a safe space, right?
Safe space. And by the way, there are positive triggers. I was at the Royals game, Ellie and I were, and there was someone that had a little baby. It must have been maybe 6 months old, couldn't even stand hardly yet, but it was on his dad's knee. And the little baby was googly and smiling and laughing. And nobody in that section was hardly watching the game anymore because a baby's smile and giggle will trigger affection. And rightfully so. That's how a baby gets what they need. Attention, affection. So that's an example of a positive trigger. Someone giving you a compliment can trigger you feeling like it's the best day you ever had. So one of our goals is to learn to trigger the best in someone, to notice them, to see them, to look into their eye. So those are examples of positive. Now that we have fun with the negatives, because those are the ones Jackie brought up. Like you leave here, you get in the traffic, you were in your zone, and someone cuts in front of you. So what's the trigger? Well, the trigger was you probably told a story very quickly, just as fast as the turkey did, of like, they're an idiot. Well, they shouldn't even be driving.
Well, they're out to get me.
They're out to get me, yeah. That's not safe. We have our rules we're trying to live by, and they're not living by one of our rules. So that triggers us. So that's a good one. It can happen in a positive environment just like that. You could stand in line to get coffee afterwards, and someone could accidentally just step in front of you and not say anything to you because they were busy thinking about coffee and you were busy chatting with a friend, so they thought you weren't even in line. And that could trigger you to think what? Well, they're inconsiderate. What's wrong with them? I don't see the best in them. I see the worst.
Well, and what's so interesting, what comes to mind for me is that it could be that somebody was going to get coffee for someone else. So one person is operating from a caretaking perspective, right? Wanting to care for someone else, and then the other person feels ignored, rejected, and then if they bring the conversation up to the person getting coffee, the person getting coffee might feel like, well, you're not helping me take care of this person. So it's kind of an example, and I think it happens in, especially in our closest relationships, that one triggers another, and then pretty soon we're like a triggered turkey, right? Flapping our wings and kicking our legs and just kind of going wild, and we lose all sense of center.
Perfect explanation. And it's not going on in your conscious mind, I want to add. It's going on in that ancient mind that's behind there that just is operating so fast that we're not even thinking. The turkey wasn't thinking, right? It was reacting.
Sure. I mean, in our example of someone maybe that's caretaking, they might have maybe an idea that's embedded that if I don't take care of someone, there will be nothing to be done for them. Like there will be, no one will be cared for.
Right.
And maybe even it's, the deeper wound is if I don't care for someone else, I won't have my needs met. So I'm getting my needs met by taking care of someone else. And if I don't do this, who's gonna care for that person, or who's
Right.
gonna care for me? And so we start kind of going deeper and deeper, and that's how how easily we become unconscious about what's just happening in the moment. Somebody's getting a cup of coffee, somebody wanted a greeting.
Perfect. Because as humans, one talent we have that sets us apart is we're great storytellers. So we tell that little story in our head. We make up those little stories that justify our triggers so quickly. Well, I was driving nice, or I was doing something nice, getting coffee for a friend, and she interrupted me or didn't help me, and so they're an intrusive force, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, that is just a made-up story, right? And we make so many up to justify our trigger. Well, I have a bunch of slides that I'm not going to use, but Jackie just named one of them is don't trigger someone else's trigger. Another one is don't get too proud of your triggers, because sometimes it feels good to be in your trigger zone. It kind of feels good to be angry for the moment, and then we kind of catch ourselves later and say, what was I thinking? But anger is a kind of a validating, I'm all full of energy and I'm upset and I'm going to straighten out things. But it's not a good place to be. That's not the zone that spirituality is all about. That's not letting it, well, that's not the rain we want. But some people
More like
do
a
carry
hailstorm, right? So what can we do?
Yes.
What is a tool that we can apply if, and maybe a better question is, when we're in this sort of primal brain space and behavior and we're unconscious, how can we create a moment of awareness?
The number one thing is to slow the pace up. You hear about professional athletes getting in the zone. Bobby Witt Jr., if you're a baseball fan, just hit a ninth inning grand slam. He was in the zone. And what they talk about is the world slows up. The pitch wasn't 102 miles an hour. It just looked like it was coming across. Well, it's so easy. So part of that spiritual practice is being able to go to that meditation and simply observe yourself. Once read, I'm not very good at meditating, but I read one book that if you can simply observe yourself for a second, I'm breathing, I'm taking a walk, I see a pretty bird, that is a form of meditation. So the number one thing is slow it up the world. You know you're reacting, you're upset, you're frustrated, you're in a judging mode. Just slow it up and go back and give yourself time to think. So that's the first one.
Well, and what I notice about that is you're not telling someone else.
Oh,
You
good.
need to slow down.
Right.
You need to think. You need to stop. You're triggered. You're triggering me.
Good.
Everything you just described
Yeah.
is an internal process.
That's perfect, because that is a tendency. We'll tell someone else, well, don't get so upset. How come you're so angry? And that just triggers them even more. What do you mean I'm angry? You triggered my trigger. I don't like being told I'm angry when I'm angry.
Like I wasn't mad until you said that, right?
Right. Well, don't get so mad then. So often. Don't act like your mother. Okay. See?
That was just an example.
That was just an example.
Just an example.
But people do learn your triggers, don't they? The kids learn them early on. Probably a little class that's going on in grade school behind the door. How do you trigger your mom or dad or something, either to get them to give in to you or to give you the candy bar or all that? So kids learn it. We all learn it as adults. But, our spiritual practice is we want to give up. We want to become aware if we're triggering someone. Now, you will absolutely start catching yourself at it and think, oh, I did it. I just raised my voice. I know that triggers my spouse. I just lowered my voice and whispered, oh, why are you so upset? That really triggered. Well, what do you mean? Just tell me. Don't be whispering to me. Behaviors can trigger someone. My wife is a particularly sensitive one. Do not roll your eyeballs around her. She had an employee once that lasted about one day because they rolled their eyeballs. But what's really behind the roll of the eyeballs? The message it was giving was, I don't think you're thinking clearly. That's not a very good way to go. Something like that. So that what triggered is respect. You don't respect me, so you rolled your eyeballs. Well, I don't like not being respected. That's a big thing for me. And so we get upset. Some of those starting to help you identify some triggers. There can be comments, they can be behaviors, they can be someone turning and walking away from you when you're talking with them. Has anybody had a child do that to you, or a teenager? And boy, that upsets you because you feel like they did what? They dismissed you, or they dissed you. And do they know that that would get to you? Oh boy, yes, they know it. Well, why did they do it? Every behavior has a purpose. Now, the outcome probably doesn't turn out too good. They get yelled at, and the whole thing accelerates, like Jackie says. Starts out an innocuous situation, then it turns into a spat or a brawl, or words are said that should never be said. Sometimes words will trigger you. Someone says something, uses, you can't talk to me. Don't use that language around me. Don't ever say I'm like my mother, or you're just like your father, or those.
And so what do you think in relationship, what are the responsibilities? So if someone makes you aware of their trigger, there can be a response to honor and respect that, and to a commitment to not knowingly do that.
Jackie.
There's responsibility in the person who is being triggered to do that inner work that you described.
Thank you for that. That's where, again, I slow it up and I say, this is probably not the moment for this conversation, but you bring it up a day later once the energy's gone down, and say, would you mind taking a minute? Let's talk about that. When you say, I'm just like my mother, that really sends me, that's like a rocket ship. You remember the old Andy Gleason shows? And he what was his wife's name? Andy Gleason. Alice, to the moon, Alice, to the moon. And she was triggering him all through that. So you don't sometimes want that conversation to take at the moment you're triggered, because your energy is up, your angry fire is coming out of your eyes, but you arrange a time later. That's your responsibility. Say, you know what? The relationship is important to me. We'll talk about it later. And Jackie, when you say, I'm just like my father, that really gets to me. That bugs me. And I can't even think what I'm going to say next. I just know I'm mad at you. And then it's kind of truthful. I am a little bit like my father, blah, blah, blah. And we have a conversation. And I give Jackie help. What? I give her a clue. What can you say instead? Well, if you would say this, then I'd say, okay, I'm okay with that. That doesn't trigger me. Well, yeah, that's a good question, because I have a responsibility, particularly with my loved ones, my family members, to help heal that interaction. Sometimes someone doesn't even know they're triggering you. They just threw something out there, but it landed hard for you. Now, I don't have that responsibility going down the highway, someone drives and cuts in front of me or is tailgating me, because I'll probably never see him again. So then it's back to me. That's where I have to slow it down, tell myself another story. Gosh, maybe there's an emergency in their family. They're trying to get to the hospital. They're on my tail. I need to pull over in the other lane and make it okay. That was the first song, Let It Go. I love that. I was thinking, that's perfect. Let it go, let it go. Don't stay in that triggered, upset spot, because you're not in a spiritual zone. You've left it all behind. You're now making up stories, and they get better and better. Then you can't wait till you get home and tell someone that you love. You ought to hear this. This is what happened to me at work today. And I'm almost hoping it triggers them to get, well, that's terrible. They shouldn't have said that to you. They shouldn't have done this. And now I've triggered that, and they're reinforcing it, and it all goes. And then I get cemented in there. I start to think I'm right for my trigger. That's not where I want to be. I want to be in a peaceful place. That was the other song, stay in that rain, that peace, that bringing out the best in others, seeing the best in myself. And if I can get there, then I've accomplished my mission. I'm in a spiritual zone, and I'm maintaining it. And that's our challenge all through our life, I think, is how do you get there? How do you stay there?
Right. And so what do you think? What happens? So we have the awareness in the moment. We slow things down. In this isolated incident, we've recognized our triggered turkey self. And we've managed to meditate and slow things down, maybe tell a different story, see something different, be open and curious to what else might be really going on here. Perhaps we have an opportunity, like you shared, to go back with the person later and say, I was feeling triggered when I hear you say these kinds of things. It makes me feel, I feel this way, I'm triggered in this way, and what would support me? So let's say we can get through all of that, but we don't want to stay on the merry-go-round because it's going to be impossible for us to talk to every single person, and other people may not have that level of commitment to be present to our triggers. So what's the next level? Once we've achieved awareness and we've even been able to talk about it a little bit, how do we break? Because some of these triggers have been cemented in over decades.
They have, and some of them are instinctive. Right. I mean, they are cemented in for the evolution of humans. They're being left out in a group is very traumatic for almost everybody to some degree. Well, it's our spiritual practice is what gets us there. Now, it can be a prayer that you repeat to yourself, because that is what's slowing you down. I was raised traditional Catholic, and I still remember this nun that had the summers. She taught class in the summer. And we kids, we were there, just there for the baseball and the ice cream. I mean, we just gave her a terrible time. It was only 2 weeks, and we didn't want to be in school in the summer, so we were probably a tough group. And she was always getting her rosary out, and I'd see her standing there. And I'd say, Sister, I asked her one time, are you praying for us that we would behave? And she said, no, I'm praying that I'll be more patient. And I didn't think much about it at the time, but I remembered it. And that's where I think Jackie's going with that, is that we can have a prayer, we can have a meditation, we can have the old count to 3, 1, 2, count to 10, count to 20, whatever you need to count to. We can have a image that comes to your mind. We can have a song. I'm going to have Kelly's song in my head, Let It Rain, because I love that. That's like, I'm going to pause long enough to let rain on myself, some self-validation, self-affirmations, and rain on the other person. I can help make that rain happen. I can validate them. I can say something positive to them, and that's the best rain of all to be at. So those are some of the actions that come to my mind with that question, Jackie.
And Sharon, what about when we know, because we start to recognize, right? And even if we don't think of it consciously, that we are about to go into a situation that will be triggering for us. For some, it's even walking into a church.
Sure.
They've got lots of baggage and trauma around church experience. So you will probably start to feel it in your body before you even get here. And you might not even realize, you might be at home and just feeling agitated or anxious, and you might think it's about the people around you or the things around you or something else in your life, but we start to feel it in our body first, and as we're approaching a situation. So what about the practice of pre-planning before we walk into a situation, getting ourselves ready?
In the world of psychology, that got popularized by a term called inoculation. Just like you get an inoculation ahead of time for a disease that you might get, and your body builds up resistance, you can inoculate yourself, which just means pre-practice. You think, gosh, if someone says this, I'm going to notice my trigger. That's the very first thing you can do. I'm going to catch me as soon as they trigger me, and then I'll pause. And if they say this or say that or do this, I am going to find a way to validate them first, to rain on them first. And if I pre-plan that, I'll have that kind of rehearsed in my mind. I can actually say, wow, love those shoes, Jackie. Even if they're not my favorite shoes, she probably wore them because she likes them, and it's a pretty safe thing to say, and we want a safe place. And you never know how someone can light up and brighten up, but you kind of pre-plan some of that and build yourself a little library, and you'll get better and better and better at going there to the point where you don't have to pre-plan because you got 30 things that you like to notice about others or see in others, and it comes down to body language and eye contact and a smile and some gratefulness you've shared. And so that's what I would say. You inoculate yourself, you build those up, and that's so much of what our Sunday services that you deliver so well we're kind of wiring our brain to think positive, to think spiritual, to think peace, to think meditation, to think a peaceful zone. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think our practice of affirmations can really come into play there.
Perfect, yeah.
Just a very simple affirmation. I'm an expression of love and light. I'm an expression of love and light. I'm going to go see this person who irritates me, who pushes every button I have, and I know they do it on purpose. That's all a story. That's all just a story I've made up and have chosen to believe, because it's easier to believe that it's their fault than to take responsibility and do my work, right? I'm an expression of love and light. So now when I arrive with this person, I'm telling a different story. That it's no longer about how they're pushing my buttons. It's about what am I bringing to them. I'm bringing a presence of love and light. What am I bringing to this scenario and this situation and this interaction? Because like we talked about last week, in truth, the bottom line of what we are doing together, whether it's here on a Sunday morning or at the grocery store or wherever we are in our lives, is we are all walking each other home. So how do we find that place rather than being caught up in our triggers and rather than being activated in our fear of what needs might not be met within us? Because I think that's what most of the triggers come down to is I'm afraid I'm not going to have my needs met.
Yes.
So we rewrite the story of even just our interactions with each other, whether it's with people we know, people we don't know, and we begin to tell a new story of who we are. We embrace our power to be a presence of the divine, so that we aren't walking around as self-perceived victims into every circumstance that we walk into, that instead we are empowered as the presence of God, which is the truth of each and every one of us. Oh, I'm preaching now. It is the truth of each and every one of us. And if I can know that truth and I can walk in knowing that I am being and bringing a gift to this interaction, then it's going to change lives. It's going to change my life. It's going to change your life. And domino, it's going to change the world.
I am rain.
Yes.
I am rain.
And I love that. Thank you, Kelly, for that rain song. Because, there's the saying, like, we're going to rain vengeance. And there's an idea that God will rain vengeance. And so there's a gentleness to the rain. There's a cleansing. There's a clarity. There's a pureness. There's the natural state of the world and what happens for us in consciousness. So thank you so much.
It's a giving. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
By the way, I brought some books, and they're discounted. They're usually $24.95. They're $20. But they're also, if there's someone who you say, I don't have much money this month, it's a tight month, give what you can. If you've got $5, you can have a book for $5 and it'll rain on you, or whatever it is. If you don't have anything, I want you to take one, because it has a code in the back, and you get a personality assessment that's based all on strengths. You'll see the best in yourself. And that's how we see the best in others too. So don't hesitate to come back and just do what you can, or take one, and let that be my gift. A little rain.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Patrick.
Thanks
Those
for inviting
rains
me to
love.
come out. This was great.
Absolutely. Thank you. And now we'll prepare for a time of meditation. The band is... So let's just center in and settle in right where we are. Knowing that we are here as the presence, held always and only in the loving arms of Spirit. This is the truth of us. It is the truth of our nature and the truth of our experience. And it is the story that is calling us to be told through us. So with a breath, we release into this moment and into this knowing. If you haven't already, I invite you to soften your gaze or close your eyes. finally noticing the breath that is always sustaining you. Life. Choosing you as its vessel. Love. Choosing you as its light. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. If we feel any part of us activated or triggered through any of the examples in this conversation, we just simply notice. And remember, it is the power of awareness that brings healing to us and through us. So the noticing is not here for shame. It is not here for blame. It is not here to make us feel guilty or sorry. Though we may have regret, we do so in the light of love. And we allow that love to be an inspiration, a hope for the ways in which we can experience healing in and through our own triggers and the noticing of them, the awareness of them, because we get to be human. And we are entirely divine beings, moving as the hands and feet of God. So our calling is to allow that truth to express through us. We notice in the body. Any point of discomfort, any memory of our own anger, fear, worry. We breathe calm. We breathe peace. We are the medicine. And if you have noticed that you have become quite comfortable being triggered, that you have allowed yourself to create a habit of blaming others, of being quick to anger and judgment, again, we just simply notice. That noticing is here for the healing. It is here for your highest good, that you may experience peace, that you may experience love, being loved and loving self and others. The awareness is medicine. Grace. Love. Gratitude. Say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, God, for this one truth. There is only love. And we are its truest expression to the extent we allow. So in this moment, we give permission to brighten our own light. Permission to be braver and bolder, brighter. We take this expansion, this promise into silent reflection. For this opportunity to touch the stillness, to be in and with the knowing. We are so grateful. With each breath, thank you. With each beating of the heart, thank you. So it is, and so may it always be. Amen.
There is peace. There is quiet. When we touch the stillness, and there is light. There is healing when we touch stillness, and there is love, and there is knowing when we touch stillness, and there is hope that is growing
So let's just stay in that energy of peace and stillness as we move into our time of offering for this morning and extending gratitude for all of the wondrous gifts in many forms that are offered to this ministry. And so if you have a tangible financial gift you'd like to take in your hand, fine, you can text online, but we hold them always in our hearts. And if you would do that with me and also speak aloud the blessing for our offertory for today. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am joy-filled and grateful.
And focusing on that joy, we're going to shift our energy up just a little bit and help us step out into this glorious, beauteous day, because the only time that counts is right now, is this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time it wraps around you. This time it sets you free. This time don't hold back. This is who you are supposed to be. That's right. This time. Well, why are you still waiting for your real life to begin? Standing in the shadow of where you've always been. Why let somebody tell you your life is not worth your dream? Why believe your power is something wrong or too extreme? Well, this time it wraps around you. This time it sets you free. This time don't hold back. This is who you were born to be. That's right. This time. Now there's a million new diversions to keep you from yourself, to distract you from your beauty and realizing your wealth. Pull aside the curtain between the present and the grave. You know all you need to know to live a life that's true and brave. And this time, this time,
Thank you, Kelly Hunt and the Utah Band. Woo! Yes, this time. Thank you so much. So, to all of you who helped create the service this month, we have been thanking our Sunday counters. So we thank you all for the many ways you volunteered to create this vibrant spiritual community together. I'm going to invite my darling wife up to lead us in our mission statements. All together. Unity Church of Overland Park transforms lives
and empowers people to make a difference in the world.
I've invited Tammy forward because we have a special announcement that we would like to share with you. News about our family.
There's some changes coming with our family. And as we shared today on the platform, one of my spiritual practices is listening. Listening to the urges inside, listening to when my wild turkey speaks up and not feel like my needs can be met. And over the past 15 or so years, I have felt this strong urge to live in Colorado, to be close to the mountains, to raise a child close to the mountains and nature. And when I was growing up, what I learned was that I have to pick between one or the other. And so that's why my wild turkey has been up a lot. And so because of principle, spiritual principle, and this amazing woman right here in our family, Maddie Rose and I, who now goes by Harry a lot of the time, are moving to Colorado 2 weeks from today after church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I know for me. What I also know is that when Jackie and I got married 2.5 years ago, we vowed to have a conscious marriage, a marriage that is awake. We also vowed to celebrate each other in our fullest expression and to support and love each other in living a full life of our fullest potential as a couple and as individuals. And so it's because of her support that we are doing this. There's 2 other things that I know. One is that even though I am to be in Colorado right now, Jackie's to be here. Her calling is to be with you, to lead the spiritual community. And I celebrate and honor and support that 100%. We have talked a lot about the visits that we'll have with each other. I feel solid. I think I can speak for you that you feel solid knowing that we have a plan to be together, whether we're physically together or not, but we are planning to be together a lot in person as well. The other thing that I know is that I've been involved in this community for 20 years, 21 years, off and on. I used to work at Unity Church of Overland Park for about 5 years before I started my own company. And this community is loving and supportive, and also on their individual spiritual paths. And what I know is your support will be coming to us as well, and I just want to share my gratitude for that, knowing that you will be lifting us up as well in this. And so, love, thank you. I don't have to pick. I can be where I need to be right now, and I can be married, and I'm so grateful.
As am I. So we've got some big changes, and the 5-bedroom house we currently live in is going to be too big for me and Jamie. Josie, as she is soon to be 21, which I can hardly swallow that number, but she is trying to make her way, flying the coop, and so I'm also going to be experiencing a little bit of that empty nester with her as she has moved to Lawrence to live with her dad as like her next phase before she really gets out into adulthood. But what that means is she's going to step down from her position here as the UCOP Kids teacher. So in 2 weeks, we will celebrate Tammy and Harry in their next adventure. We will also celebrate and honor Josie and the work that she has done here with us. And Jamie and I will be moving not too far down the road into a smaller, right-sized townhouse for us. So I just know and appreciate the way that you love us and that you will continue to support us as we go through these changes. We have what we need personally as a family to be supported in this, and I know that in this space, in our spiritual family, that we will also receive that support. And so we will have a special time of hospitality on August 13th, and I invite you all to come and eat cupcakes with us right out here in the cafe. There will be gluten-free cupcakes, there will be vegan cookies, there will be regular sugared up, glutened up cupcakes for everyone. And we will just have a time of celebration, and this grand adventure together continues. And we have never really been conventional in anything we've done. So we will join the 4 million, can you believe 4 million people in this country, married couples who live long distance marriages. So we're going to learn all about that, and we've got communities in that regard that are helping us to learn what that adventure looks like and how to do it really well. So with that, we'd like to invite Josie and Harry forward as we welcome in the kids.
To everyone and all of your support. I have enjoyed every single Sunday I've ever had with all the children, and I have 2 more to go, so I'm not super sad yet. Don't remind me. Me and Maddie Rose talked about what makes us laugh and having a good time and dancing around. So we made 2 little clowns, and we have a routine for you. Will you show them? There's our clowns, and we have a routine for you guys here. This side. Who's there? Lulu. What's your other joke? What did the zombie say to the villager?
Nice to eat you.
I have a joke for you. Knock, knock. Banana. Knock, knock. Banana. Knock, knock. Banana. Knock, knock. Banana. Knock, knock. Orange. Orange, you glad I didn't say banana again?
All right. They will try to stop the stream we're dreaming, but they
God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. So go love up your inner triggered turkey and be the bright beacon of light that you are. Blessings to you.